So before I talk about what the law is, let me just tell you why I think it's so important, why this is an emerging issue that is just getting a ton of attention, and rightfully so. We all remember the haunting images of the LAPD officers beating Rodney King. It were images that shook a nation, changed a police department, and they were captured by dumb luck. It happened that someone had a giant video camera on their shoulder when they saw these police officers wailing on Rodney King on the side of the highway. Well, now, instead of there being one video camera for every 1,000 people or whatever it was when that happened, we have every other person has a video camera in their pocket in the form of a cell phone. So this has the potential to be a huge accountability tool. And the national conversation that we're having right now about policing, whether it's in Staten Island or North Charleston, South Carolina, or in Texas, it's all coming from videotapes of police-civilian interactions. Sometimes they're police-taken videotapes, whether it's body cameras or dashboard cameras, and sometimes they're civilian-captured images. And this is a huge accountability tool. And here's the thing. On the one hand, this leads to investigations that are more thorough and more complete and gets us to the truth more quickly, and that's great. But the other thing it does is people tend to comport themselves better, to violate the law less when they're being recorded. So what we've seen with body cameras is that police who wear body cameras have fewer complaints filed against them, and they use force less often. And so that's exactly what we're hoping for, that when people know they're being taped, they behave better. So that gets us to the important question of what's the law? When are people allowed to videotape police? The first kind of framework is it's got to be in public. No one is suggesting that because they're a police officer, you have a right to tape them in the locker room or in their home. But if they're on public streets, our view, and we believe the Constitution's view, is that people have a right to record from a place where they have a right to be. So police still have the authority to put up a police tape, to establish a perimeter and say, stay outside of that. But if there are two people standing at a safe distance, and one of them is recording and one of them is not, their right to be there is equal. And police cannot tell the person to stop recording as long as they have a right to legitimately be in the place where they're recording. If they're not actually interfering with the police investigation, they have a right to record from that vantage point. And so those are different questions. Move back is legitimate if it's necessary. Now, that's not an argument that a civilian wants to get into with a police officer at the time. Well, I don't think it's necessary. But the easy way to gauge it is if they're not telling other people to move back. If they're only telling those who are recording to move back, that's illegitimate. It doesn't mean that the person should resist. You still want to comply with a police officer's order, but they have broken the law by ordering it. And if you probably have that on video, and that provides you some recourse. If they're telling you stop recording, that is always impermissible, assuming that you're, again, not standing right over them and really interfering physically with their ability to do their jobs. But yeah, we see all the time. I mean, intimidation is really the least of it. We see intimidation, we see actual threats of arrest, and we see actual arrests. We have in the past represented people and are currently representing people who have been arrested for videotaping police, what we believe to be totally lawful activity.